Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today. Chapter 241. This is a conflict of the great Tao. Lin Yuan's expression was slightly solemn. In this world, the immortal path reigns supreme, with cultivators as the mainstay. As for other paths like the demon Tao, demonic Tao, and ghost path, they are all scattered. If any dare to rebel, they are directly suppressed. It has been so for hundreds of thousands of years. If Lin Yuan's martial Tao strength were to be discovered, there would only be one possibility. He would be executed. Of course, given Lin Yuan's background, he might survive, but his martial Tao cultivation would be crippled. He would be kept like livestock until his death. Want to make martial Tao coexist with the immortal path? It's possible, but it's not something that can be achieved through words alone, or by relying on the charity of relationships. It requires absolute strength. If one day martial Tao can barely resist the immortal path, and at the very least under the suppression of the Tao immortal sect, it doesn't lose its lineage, then it might survive like the demon Tao, ghost path, or demonic Tao hanging on by a thread. If it can contend with the Tao immortal sect and not be at a disadvantage, then it will be possible to share the resource-rich central divine continent with them. But the latter is difficult. For hundreds of thousands of years, demon Tao, demonic Tao, and ghost path have joined forces more than once. Yet they have all been crushed by the Tao immortal sect with absolute power. I want to spread the martial path, evolutionary path. I will inevitably have to face the Tao immortal sect. Lin Yuan thought to himself. For the martial path, evolutionary path to gain a foothold in this world, the Tao immortal sect is an insurmountable obstacle. The sect master of the Tao immortal sect is an ancient saint of refined void, wielding the founding artifact of the sect, capable of exhibiting 6th rank peak, even half-step 7th rank combat power. Such terrifying strength is also quite pressuring for Lin Yuan. Take it slow. There are still 480 years of residency time. As long as I can cultivate to the 6th rank peak, I will be able to contend with the strongest combat power of the Tao immortal sect. Lin Yuan thought to himself. As for breaking through to the 7th rank, Lin Yuan wasn't confident. 500 years was not a simple feat to develop the martial path, evolutionary path to the 7th layer. It wasn't just about cultivating to the 7th rank, but about developing the evolution pathway to the 7th rank. The difference in difficulty between the two, no one knows how many times greater it is. Even for Lin Yuan with his against heaven's understanding, there wasn't much certainty. In the main world, didn't those 7th rank evolution pathways take thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, or even 100,000 years to create? And the founders who created the pathways for 7th rank evolvers were mostly 8th layer evolvers, 9th rank evolvers. From their lofty positions, the difficulty would drop dramatically. Forget about the Tao immortal sect for now. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts. He wanted to spread martial Tao in this world to prepare for the ultimate leap in the future. He must first lay the groundwork for the propagation of the martial path, evolutionary path. The rise and prosperity of a cultivation system can't possibly appear overnight. If Lin Yuan waits until his strength reaches 6th rank peak, it will probably be several hundred years later. By then, even if he could contend with the strongest combat power of the Tao immortal sect, what could he use in the remaining 100 or 200 years to spread martial Tao? 100 to 200 years might not even produce a 3rd or 4th rank martial Tao cultivator. Once Lin Yuan leaves, faced with the Tao immortal sect's counterattack, martial Tao would likely not even have the qualifications to resist, easily crushed. Therefore, if you want to spread martial Tao, You must plan in advance and develop it over 400 or 500 years. In this way, even without Lin Yuan, martial Tao could still survive. As for how long it could last, it would be beyond Lin Yuan's influence. Lin Yuan could only do everything possible within the 500 years of residency in this world. The world consciousness of these heavens and earth. Lin Yuan felt it carefully for a while. The suppression of other cultivation systems isn't very severe. Lin Yuan deduced in his heart. The consciousnesses of different worlds can vary as well. The world consciousness of the fourth world Lin Yuan had traveled to was extremely stingy, intolerant of other cultivation systems. The world consciousness of this immortal Tao world, however, was tolerable, or else demon Tao, ghost path, and demonic Tao wouldn't have coexisted. After 20 years of lying low, now it's time to start making moves and laying out the board. Lin Yuan's gaze was calm. Plotting also depends on strength. If Lin Yuan had only recovered to the second layer or third rank strength, roughly the same as the foundation establishment stage or golden core stage in this world, how could he plot anything when facing a group of nascent soul and divinity transformation period powerhouses? Protecting his own life would be enough. But now, Lin Yuan was at the fifth stage peak. Comparable to the peak of divinity transformation, with his numerous means, he might even manage to contend with an ancient saint of refined void. Naturally, he was qualified to plot. To spread the martial path, evolutionary path, I must first establish a force, one purely comprising martial Tao cultivators. And to establish a force, I must first have a territory. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly. A map appeared before his eyes. In the center of the map was the central divine continent, the domain of the Taoed immortal sect. To the north were blood red and black territories, domains of the blood demon, and also the sacred ground for devil cultivators. To the west were the regions of the barbaric demon beasts, where, it was said, the demon saints' nest protected by them could nurture demon saints comparable to ancient saints of refinement void. And to the south, where ghostly chi pervaded, belonged to the ghost cultivators of the netherworld. Rumor had it that they hailed from the mysterious ghost palace of Netherworld, which connected to the netherworld underworld. Lin Yuan's gaze moved continuously over the map. Whether it was the central divine continent or the northern, western, and southern regions, all had already been occupied by forces, and it would be very difficult for martial Tao to expand in these three places. The east. Lin Yuan looked toward the eastern region of the map. There, poised on the edge of the East Sea, was the area of various left paths. Simply put, it was a no-man's land, teeming with cultivators of ambiguous identities. Many cultivators who had offended the Taoed immortal sect had fled to the eastern sea islands, and as long as they did not court death, they could live freely. Starting from the East Sea is possible, Lin Yuan thought to himself. At the very least, the eastern sea islands had a complicated mix of forces. Martial Tao blending in wouldn't be too conspicuous. You go to the East Sea, spread martial Tao, and establish a force. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly, and a phantom figure emerged from within his body. This phantom figure, upon touching the outside world, rapidly solidified, radiating the power of Taiyang, with bright eyes, and stood there quietly. It was Lin Yuan's radiant Yang spirit, also known as the Taiyang divine spirit. At the fifth stage of martial Tao, a corresponding martial Tao primordial spirit could be born. The martial Tao primordial spirit was essentially an avatar, sharing one consciousness with the original self, and its strength wouldn't be much weaker than that of the original self. At present, Lin Yuan's Yang spirit, when unleashing its full power, should have no equal below an ancient saint of refinement void. Whoosh! The Yang spirit's form disappeared. Following Lin Yuan's orders, it headed for the distant East Sea. In fact, since Lin Yuan and the Yang spirit shared consciousness, Lin Yuan could see what the Yang spirit saw. Talking to the Yang spirit was much like talking to oneself. Lin Yuan Yang's spirit turned from solid to ethereal, easily passing through the many restrictions of cloud mist blessed land and reaching the outside world. Looks like it's going to be a while before I can return, Lin Yuan muttered, turning to fly toward the east. At the pavilion atop Yunwu Mountain, Lin Yuan was still seated cross-legged. Sending out the Yang spirit was already part of Lin Yuan's plan. In time, Lin Yuan would also continue to dispatch the Yin god. The two great martial Tao primordial spirits would be like Lin Yuan's two significant avatars. One body divided into three, sharing one consciousness. Furthermore, when the primordial spirit is abroad, there's another advantage. Even if Lin Yuan's original self perished, it would not be the end. From Tai-Yin comes Tai-Yang. From Tai-Yang comes Tai-Yin. From Yin and Yang comes Tai-Ji. From Tai-Ji comes all things. As long as the Yin spirit and Yang spirit exist, a new physical body can be reborn. Similarly, even if the Yin spirit and Yang spirit are destroyed outside, as long as the physical body remains, it can condense anew the Yin spirit and Yang spirit. The original self, the Yin god and the Yang god. As long as one is alive, Lin Yuan cannot die. Therefore, Lin Yuan dispatched his Yang god and Yin god also to augment his own survival capabilities. Half a month later, I'm almost back to the power of the 6th rank. Lin Yuan sensed for a while and thought. Body cultivation. Lin Yuan's face showed contemplation. For the lineage of body cultivation, breaking through to the virtual refinement realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was almost impossible to achieve. In the tens of thousands of years of Central Divine Continent's history, not a single body cultivator had emerged at the level of refined void. As Lin Yuan pondered over the virtual refinement realm of the lineage of body cultivation and tried to deduce it using against heaven's understanding, his expression suddenly changed slightly. He looked up toward the outside of cloud mist blessed land. Chapter 242 Two Suns in the Sky. Revenge will not wait overnight. With Lin Yuan's current strength, he could easily sense every little detail for hundreds or even thousands of miles away. This was merely perception, but if he were to recklessly expand his Taiji domain, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of miles would be within his control. Why have they come? Lin Yuan stroked his chin. At this moment, about 200 miles away from cloud mist blessed land, two escape lights appeared. They were Lin Yuan's elder brother and second sister. Over the years, his brother and sister would visit Lin Yuan every 6 months. Now, it was not even 2 months since their last visit. It must be that something has happened in the immortal sect, Lin Yuan guessed in his heart. Before long, the two escape lights arrived outside the cloud mist blessed land. Lin Yuan also promptly showed a hint of surprise and quickly opened the restrictive formation of the blessed land to welcome his brother and sister in. Lin Yuan's elder brother was named Jun Xiaoyao, with the Taoist name Xiaoyao Zi. The second sister was Jun Jilan, with the Taoist name Jilan Fairy. However, other cultivators preferred to call Jun Jilan Shinshao Fairy. Little brother, the sect master has broken through to the hollow void realm, and the immortal sect is holding a celebration. We are here to take you there, explained the elder brother Jun Xiaoyao immediately. Hollow void realm? Lin Yuan instantly understood. The immortal path's void refinement realm is divided into 3 stages. Entering void realm, hollow void realm, refined void realm. The advance of the Taoist immortal sect master into the hollow void realm meant that his strength was considered powerful even among ancient saints, as most ancient saints of the past had their cultivation end at the entering void realm. Hee little brother, even grandpa mentioned you specifically. There's no need to make this celebration widely known. It will be just some people from our immortal sect participating. Jun Jilan, unlike Jun Xiaoyao who was more formal, didn't refer to her grandpa as the sect master when with family. Okay. Lin Yuan nodded. But elder brother and second sister, I'll first go to the treasury to select a gift for grandpa. Lin Yuan explained. Even for close relatives, it wouldn't do to come empty-handed. That's fine. The elder brother and sister agreed, nodding their heads. They watched as Lin Yuan left. The brother and sister waited in place. Little brother has changed a lot over the years, the second sister, Jun Jilan, said with a touch of emotion. The path of body cultivation requires enduring tremendous pain for advancement. How could little brother remain the same after cultivating to the body cultivation golden core stage? Jun Xiaoyao, the elder brother, thought it was only to be expected. Even he would feel scalp-numbing pain facing the breakthrough to the golden core stage of body cultivation. That Jun Wuji could have achieved what he has now. His mental state was already beyond other golden core stage cultivators. As for the huge changes in Jun Wuji, Jun Xiaoyao felt no surprise. 20 years ago, after Jun Wuji was struck with defeat, he moved out from Mount Morality Immortal and came to Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Shamed and then becoming braver, he embarked on the difficult path of body cultivation, and achieving some success was no strange matter. The treasury of Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Lin Yuan walked in. He casually selected a treasure. To the leader of the Taoed Immortal sect, it didn't matter what gift Lin Yuan brought. The sentiment was what truly counted. Condense. Lin Yuan stood still. He retracted all traces related to martial Tao and tucked them deep within his body. Heading to the Taoed Immortal sect to meet the sect master who had entered the Hollow Void Realm, Lin Yuan naturally had to make thorough preparations. This should be about right. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. Now, with all his aura retracted and even his physical strength temporarily downgraded to that of a body cultivation golden core stage, not even a sect master at the Hollow Void Realm, let alone a refined void cultivator at the refined void period, could detect the slightest anomaly. The reason Lin Yuan could so proficiently retract his aura was firstly that he was also a 6th-rank powerhouse, which was equivalent to the refined void period, and secondly, he had come from a main world, having seen many evolution paths, making this task of concealing his strength seem like a dimension-reducing strike when compared to creatures of this world. It's better to leave the Yin spirit behind. Lin Yuan considered for a while, his thoughts stirring slightly as a faint phantom separated from his body, then disappeared within the treasury. Although the presence of the Yin spirit was almost non-existent, keeping it with him could still pose a risk. Moreover, leaving the Yin spirit in Cloud Mist Blessed Land was also a contingency plan prepared by Lin Yuan. In case of any real emergencies, having both the Yin spirit and Yang spirit out, Lin Yuan would have more tactics at his disposal and wouldn't truly die. After all the preparations were made, Lin Yuan, carrying the gift, came to where his brother and sister were. Let's go. The second sister, Jun Jilan, reached out her right hand. A treasure of a colorful handkerchief with cloud patterns unfolded in the air, turning into a several hundred zhong auspicious cloud. The elder brother and sister had come flying using escape light because it was the fastest method. But naturally, they couldn't return using escape light, especially with Lin Yuan beside them. While a cultivator in the body cultivation golden core stage indeed had the means to fly, they could not match the speed of the elder brother and sister, both seasoned nascent soul stage cultivators. Therefore, the second sister activated the treasure to transport the three of them towards the Taoed Immortal sect. Come a bordo. Jun Xiaoyao stepped onto the auspicious cloud treasure, and Lin Yuan followed suit. After half a day, the Taoed Immortal sect appeared within Lin Yuan's sight. There, above the sea of clouds, stood immortal mountains so tall they seemed to prop up the heavens, majestic and grand. Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan gazed at the distant immortal mountain. The Taoed Immortal sect was established atop Mount Morality Immortal, which was the place where the largest spirit veins of the central divine continent converged. It was also a sacred land that all cultivators yearned for. The central divine continent had 72 blessed lands and 108 auspicious sites for cultivation, all abundant with spiritual energy and incredible cultivation benefits. But compared to Mount Morality Immortal, even if all 72 blessed lands and 108 auspicious sites were combined, Chapter 243, it certainly pales in comparison to Mount Morality Immortal. Whoosh! The auspicious cloud treasure flew to the front of the immortal sect. An invisible fluctuation swept through. An entrance appeared in the grand formation ahead. Dozens of immortal sect disciples bowed in unison. We've seen Xiaoyao Zi, Uncle Master. We've seen Jilan Fairy. Soon, They arrived at the summit of the main peak of the Taoed Immortal sect. A large hall situated here was surrounded by rich nature's spiritual energy, which even transformed into spirit rain showering down. This place was a completely different world from the outside, like a true immortal realm. Lin Yuan followed Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan into the grand hall. At this time, there were already some people seated in the hall. Wuji, a female cultivator with a beautiful appearance, smiled at Lin Yuan. It was Jun Wuji's mother, the direct daughter of the current Taoist immortal sect master, Mu Lianer. And the man sitting next to Mu Lianer was Jun Wuji's father, Jun Dongjin. Jun Dongjin had a mutated heavenly spiritual root. He was the most talented individual of his generation in the Taoed Immortal sect, with hopes of breaking through to the refining void period, one of the top candidates for the sect's future sect master. Ha ha ha, so this must be Wuji. Indeed, you're quite promising. Having no spirit root, yet choosing the path of body cultivation. A tall and impressive man approached, gave Lin Yuan a glance, then turned to laugh with Jun Dongjin. This tall and powerful man just standing there exuded an intangible suppression.
Mu Mengting.
Lin Yuan recognized this impressive man. Mu Mengting was a distinguished offspring of the Mu family of the Taoed Immortal sect, and the current sect master came from the Mu family. His mother Mu Lianer was also a member. Though Mu Mengting was also a cultivator with a heavenly spiritual root, his aptitude was indeed half a step behind Jun Dongjin's, but his identity in the Mu family still made him one of the hot candidates for the future sect master of the Immortal sect. Mu Mengting and Jun Dongjin were rivals. Of course, the position of sect master of the Taoed Immortal sect was not about background. It was about who could break through to the refining void period first. He would be the sect master. Mengting brother overpraises. Wuji is just toying around with small achievements. They mean nothing. After all, the limit of body cultivation is the golden core stage. Jun Dongjin responded with a smile. Humph. Upon hearing those words, Mu Mengting didn't say much and returned to his seat. Lin Yuan sat next to Jun Dongjin. Mu Mengting had just shown subtle malice toward him. If Jun Dongjin hadn't spoken up in time, Lin Yuan's state of mind might have been affected. This old man. Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. 20 years ago, Lin Yuan had been no different from a cripple. Mu Mengting had not even bothered to consider him worth his attention, let alone target him. But now, Lin Yuan had achieved considerable success on the path of body cultivation. Even if this success was trivial for him, it had earned him praise from the sect master of the Immortal sect, who was his maternal grandfather. This made Mu Mengting somewhat uncomfortable. That's why that earlier scene had happened. In Mu Mengting's view, the position of sect master for the Taoed Immortal sect should belong to his Mu family. Yet, Jun Wuji, an outsider, emerged out of nowhere. Even if Jun Dongjin married Mu Lianer, he was still an outsider. How dare he covet the position of sect master? Just then, inside the hall, the atmosphere began to subtly change. Lin Yuan sensed it and looked toward the main seat. He saw a middle-aged man with a dignified presence, who had appeared at some point and was now sitting there. We've seen the sect master. The others in the hall noticed as well. They stood up immediately and bowed to the dignified middle-aged man. Please, everyone, take your seats. The dignified middle-aged man spoke slowly. Yes. Everyone sat down in order. Is that the Immortal sect leader? The hollow void realm of the refining void period. Lin Yuan secretly observed. In terms of realms, Lin Yuan, who had just entered the 6th rank, was considered to be at the entering void realm. In this respect, he was not as advanced as the Immortal sect leader. Once everyone was seated, female cultivators carrying various spirit fruits began to serve them at the tables in front of each person. Those who could participate in the Hollow Void Great Hall event of Taoed Immortal sect were principally high-level cultivators with high positions and great influence. What's the situation with the Ghost Palace of Netherworld? The voice of the Immortal sect leader was calm as he asked. The Taoed Immortal sect dominates the central divine continent, overpowering the demonic Tao, demon Tao, and ghost path with absolute strength. However, these three are extremely tenacious. No matter the severity of the blows they sustain, they always manage to recuperate. Therefore, to prevent these three paths from causing chaos, every so often the Taoed Immortal Sect sends out disciples to sweep through and purge the area. Sect Master. Those ghost cultivators have been so thoroughly beaten by our immortal sect that they are now too scared to even step into the central earth. An old man with golden lion's mane like curly hair stood up and proudly declared. He was responsible for clearing out the ghost cultivators to the south and had completed his mission admirably. Thus he spoke with great confidence. Not bad. The immortal sect leader nodded slightly. That ghost palace of Netherworld is of mysterious origin, and even I find it hard to locate. We must be cautious with the ghost cultivators on that side. The immortal sect leader spoke. It's not that the Taoed Immortal Sect didn't want to completely obliterate the ghost cultivators. It's that they simply couldn't. Every time the sect master of the Taoed Immortal Sect, wielding the founding artifact of the sect, went south to purge the land, all the ghost cultivators would hide within the ghost palace of Netherworld, and even an ancient saint of refinement void could not find the thoroughly concealed ghost palace of Netherworld. Therefore, dealing with the ghost cultivators to the south could only focus on suppression and clearing, containing their power from rising, and thus there would be no significant issues. What about the blood demons to the north? The immortal sect leader continued to ask. Sect master, the blood chief's blood god children have already lost 60% of their number. Ha ha ha. Now they don't dare to leave the blood demon sea. Another person rose to speak. The blood chief has merged with the blood sea. While he is nearly immortal and indestructible, he cannot leave the bounds of the blood demon sea. The immortal sect leader nodded. The blood chief was an exceptional being. Even the past immortal sect leaders, wielding the founding artifact of the sect, could not completely slay the blood chief. If the blood demon sea does not dry up, the blood chief remains undying. What about the eastern sea islands? The immortal sect leader continued to inquire. Sect master. At this moment, Mu Mengting stood up and said, the eastern sea islands are a mix of dragons and snakes, extremely resistant to external forces. However, over the years, I have painstakingly established a secret influence and gained control over the Black Gauze archipelago. With me here, the eastern sea islands can only remain in chaos. Mu Mengting said confidently. To the Taoed Immortal Sect, the approach to the eastern sea islands differed from that towards the Demon Tao, Ghost Path, and Demonic Tao. They didn't directly suppress them. The situation in the eastern sea islands was exceedingly complex, constantly embroiled in internal strife. The Taoed Immortal Sect only needed to ensure that no unified force emerged from the eastern sea islands. Then they could rest easy without worries. Thus, Mu Mengting secretly established his own power, ready to intervene whenever there were signs of the islands unifying. This side, the force Mu Mengting secretly amassed numerous cultivation resources for, was of paramount significance and served as his left and right arms. Not bad. The immortal sect leader nodded once more. The Black Gauze archipelago? Lin Yuan, sitting next to Jun Dongjin, felt a slight stir in his heart. Considering his plans to spread the martial path evolutionary path starting from the eastern sea islands, Lin Yuan naturally conducted thorough research on the islands. And he was fairly clear about the location of the Black Gauze archipelago. The East Sea. Lin Yuanyang's spirit suddenly came to a halt. The cloud mist-blessed land was extremely far from the East Sea. But the Yang spirit wasn't physical, and its flying speed was feared to be unmatched even by an ancient saint of refinement void. After half a month of rapid travel, Lin Yuanyang's spirit eventually arrived within the perimeter of the East Sea. In reality, the Taoed Immortal Sect had a dedicated teleportation formation that could instantly reach the proximity of the East Sea. However, Lin Yuanyang's spirit decided to take a tour along the way. After all, spreading the martial path evolutionary path was a 100-year plan, so there was no rush. The Black Gauze archipelago? The Lin Yuanyang spirit and the original body shared the same consciousness. Their memories were identical, with instantaneous exchange of all knowledge and sensations. Therefore, when Lin Yuan heard about Mu Mengting establishing a power base in the Black Gauze archipelago of the East Sea, the Yang spirit was instantly informed. That should be the Black Gauze archipelago over there. Lin Yuan Yang spirit changed course and headed towards the Black Gauze archipelago. A moment later, the Black Gauze archipelago appeared before him. 12 divinity transformation, 56 nascent souls. Lin Yuanyang spirit clicked his tongue, then raised his right hand. In that instant, even the high-hanging sun in the sky seemed to dim. Endless power of Taiyang, as if commanded, rushed forth even if some of it seemed unwilling, eventually converging obediently on Lin Yuanyang spirit's right hand. For a time, two suns hung in the sky. In the end, Lin Yuan weighed the sun in his right hand, deeming its mass satisfactory. Then he threw it towards the nearby Black Gauze archipelago. Chapter 244. Founding Artifact of the Sect, Taihao Immortal Mirror. Black Gauze Archipelago. Main Island Council Hall. 12 Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords, 56 nascent Soul True Monarchs gathered here. Even in the politically complex and ever-changing Eastern Sea Islands, 12 Heaven Lords and 56 True Monarchs formed a force that could not be ignored. Among the 800 minor sects and 3,000 factions of the left paths, this force could easily rank within the top 10. What's more, the power of Black Gauze Archipelago had completely integrated into the Eastern Sea Islands. Apart from the 3 strongest Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords, no one knew that the Black Gauze Archipelago was secretly controlled and driven by the Dao Immortal Sect's Mu Mengting. Although the 800 minor sects and 3,000 factions of the left paths in the Eastern Sea Islands constantly fought among themselves year-round, they were exceedingly xenophobic, and if they discovered a mole from the Dao Immortal Sect had infiltrated their territory, even if they dared not act against it, they would subconsciously stop their internal strife and instinctively band together. This would violate the basic strategy of the Dao Immortal Sect in dealing with the Eastern Sea Islands. For the Dao Immortal Sect, it's best to have the 800 minor sects and 3,000 factions of the left paths of the Eastern Sea in constant chaos and infighting. As for unity, what difference would that make from the Demon Tao, the Ghost Path, or the Demonic Tao? Mu Mengting secretly controlled the Black Gauze Archipelago, stirring up the situation in the Eastern Sea and incidentally amassing a large amount of resources and wealth with a masterful approach. Compared with the complex suppression of the Demonic Tao to the north, the Demon Tao to the west, and the Ghost Path to the south by other members of the Immortal Sect, Mu Mengting's control of Black Gauze Archipelago was definitely a cushy job. This was also the favoritism of the Dao Immortal Sect's sect master towards Mu Mengting. In a while, I'll make a trip to the Central Divine Continent and hand over the gains of these 100 years. In the council hall, a Mahayana Phase Heaven Lord seated at the chief position thought to himself. He looked down at the many nascent Soul True Monarchs below and the other Heaven Lords seated to his left and right, just about to speak. Just then, the complexion of this Mahayana Phase Heaven Lord changed slightly. He suddenly felt the air around him becoming scorching hot. Not good. More than 10 Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords dramatically changed their expressions, instinctively soaring into the sky, the unique aura of Mahayana Phase cultivators, the oppressive might that looked down upon mortals and dominated rise and fall, suddenly erupted. However, the next moment, a trace of despair appeared on the faces of the dozen Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords, because they saw a sun plummeting towards the Black Gauze Archipelago. Above the clouds, Lin Yuan withdrew his right hand, glancing down at the Black Gauze Archipelago below. At this moment, the Black Gauze Archipelago had turned into a sea of fire, with the auras of various true monarchs and heaven lords constantly erupting, only to be quickly extinguished. The secret technique of the Wanyang lineage truly has a terrifying lethal power. Seeing this, Lin Yuan nodded slightly. The sun he had just thrown down was a simplified version of the Wanyang Same Heaven, a secret technique once activated by the Wanyang Holy Sun. Having crossed hands with the Wanyang Holy Sun twice, Lin Yuan had already learned most of the latter's unique skills with his Against Heaven's understanding. If it was in the main world, Lin Yuan certainly would not have casually activated a secret technique related to the Wanyang lineage. because it could easily be recognized by other high-rank evolvers, leading to potential copyright disputes. The laws of the human alliance in the main world are sound, providing good protection for many secret techniques and laws. If you're not a disciple of that lineage and haven't purchased the secret technique from that lineage, yet you use it, that's considered stealing. No matter in which star domain or star alliance, it is deemed illegal. But while traveling between worlds, there is no need to hide. Especially now that Lin Yuan is a Yang spirit avatar, he doesn't need to be excessively cautious. The Black Gauze Archipelago. Lin Yuan looked down, ensuring that there were no survivors. The reason he targeted the Black Gauze Archipelago was mainly for two reasons. One was to take revenge for himself and Jun Dongjin. His father, Jun Dongjin, had a mutated heavenly spiritual root, and his talent was unmatched among the younger generation of the Daoed Immortal sect. But due to his status, when faced with provocation by Mu Mengting, he could only suffer in silence. Now that he had the opportunity for revenge, Lin Yuan would not let it pass by. The second reason was that he wanted to spread the martial path evolutionary path in the Eastern Sea Islands, where he was bound to clash with the Black Gauze Archipelago eventually. Rather than being obstructed and troubled by the Black Gauze Archipelago in the future, he might as well take decisive action now and eradicate it entirely. Gather. Lin Yuan, gazing down upon the Black Gauze Archipelago, took a deep breath. In an instant, a massive amount of extremely pure spiritual energy surged toward him. As one of the top forces of the Eastern Sea Islands, the Black Gauze Archipelago naturally had amassed a wealth of treasures and resources, especially those gathered for Mu Mengting, which had yet to be handed over and were stored on the island's treasury, as well as within the storage ring of the leading Mahayana heavenly monarch. Now that the Black Gauze Archipelago had been reduced to a sea of fire, everything was burned clean. Those treasures and resources, under the incineration of Taiyang true fire, turned into the most pure spiritual energy and essence. All of it was devoured by Lin Yuan. Quite a lot. Having swallowed everything, a smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. The essence and spiritual energy he had just consumed was enough to elevate a beginning stage Mahayana heavenly monarch to the middle stage or even the late stage. Daoed Immortal Sect. Mu Mengting stood up, about to report to the Immortal Sect leader the results of these years of battle and how the Black Gauze Archipelago he controlled had stirred up the situation in the Eastern Sea. Suddenly, Mu Mengting's expression drastically changed. How is this possible? Mu Mengting's complexion looked terrible. He even carried a trace of panic. Because he noticed that the life tablets of the group of Mahayana heavenly monarchs and nascent soul true monarchs in the Black Gauze Archipelago had shattered simultaneously. What did this mean? It meant that all the Mahayana heavenly monarchs and nascent soul true monarchs had fallen, and their time of death was nearly identical. In addition, it also meant that the Black Gauze Archipelago, which he had painstakingly managed, was no longer in existence. If even the Mahayana heavenly monarchs and nascent soul true monarchs had perished, what about the other cultivators and personnel? Chapter 245. What has happened? Seated in the main seat, the leader of the Daoed Immortal Sect spoke. Sect Master. The divinity transformation and nascent soul cultivators of the Black Gauze Archipelago have just perished. Mu Mengting dared not conceal anything and immediately spoke up. What? The eyes of the Daoed Immortal Sect leader turned cold. How dare they? The Daoed Immortal Sect leader suddenly stood up. At the same time, above the head of the Daoed Immortal Sect leader, a mirror emitting boundless light and ages appeared. A beam of light, as if penetrating through time and space, shot out from the highest place of the Daoed Immortal Sect, and in just a few moments, it descended in front of the Black Gauze Archipelago in the East Sea. Above the clouds, Lin Yuan, who was relishing, slightly changed his expression and looked up toward the terrifying mirror light coming from the Daoed Immortal Sect. His figure silently disappeared. The next moment, the mirror light arrived. It transformed into a phantom. Upon closer inspection, it was indeed the appearance of the Daoed Immortal Sect leader. The phantom looked down at the Black Gauze Archipelago, which had been transformed into a sea of fire, swept its icy gaze around, and with a cold snort, disappeared without a trace. Tens of thousands of miles away, Lin Yuanyang's yang spirit appeared. Is that the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Mirror? Lin Yuan's expression grew somewhat solemn as he thought to himself. Using his yang spirit form, it took him half a month to fly from the cloud mist-blessed land to the East Sea. But the leader of the Dao Immortal sect, with the help of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, arrived in the East Sea in just a few moments? Is the Dao Immortal sect leader that powerful? Of course not. The Dao Immortal sect leader is only at the refining illusionary and hollow realm, equivalent to the 6th rank, 4th to 9th layer of the main world. He couldn't possibly have such terrifying speed. All of this was due to the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Realm. This immortal artifact's power is limitless, its mirror light capable of reaching any corner of the central divine continent. No wonder 12,000 years ago, the blood demon in the north, the ghost cultivator king in the south, and the barbaric demon saint in the east, gathering the powers of 3 refining void ancient saints, wanted to initiate a decisive battle yet were still utterly defeated by the Dao Immortal sect. Lin Yuan's thoughts surged. However, the one who just descended must not be the immortal sect leader himself, but an incarnation of the immortal mirror, and crossing such a long distance must also entail considerable consumption. Lin Yuan analyzed in his heart.
Dao de Immortal sect.
Inside the great hall, the Dao Immortal sect leader, who had stood up, watched as the mirror above his head slowly disappeared. The Dao Immortal sect leader then sat back down. Sect master, Mu Mengting couldn't help but ask. At that moment, he was extremely heartbroken, for he had spent many years cultivating the Black Gauze Archipelago. The dozen or so divinity transformation heaven lords and dozens of nascent soul true monarchs were not only his subordinates, nurtured over many years and unrelated to the Dao Immortal sect, but their use in the Eastern Sea Islands was also irreplaceable. The Dao Immortal sect disdained the Eastern Sea Islands because they were resource-poor and unnecessary to occupy. But resource-poor in comparison to the Dao Immortal sect, for a cultivator who could hold even a small part of the Eastern Sea Islands in their grip, the benefits were still remarkably substantial. This Mu Mengting had deeply experienced over the years. But now, everything was gone. They didn't know how much effort it took to barely cultivate more than a dozen divinity transformation heaven lords, all of which were now lost. The person has fled. The Dao Immortal sect leader shook his head slightly. Upon hearing this, everyone present showed a look of shock. Even Mu Mengting, despite his extreme heartache, had his pupil's contract. The sect master had activated the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Mirror, with its boundless and unmatched power. Yet the person who destroyed the Black Gauze Archipelago had escaped? Look! The Dao Immortal sect leader's mind stirred. A series of illusory images appeared above the Great Hall. Just now, although he hadn't captured the chief culprit, he had traced back part of the scene based on the residual aura left on the field. All the people in the Great Hall looked towards the scene displayed. Black Gauze Archipelago, waters rippling. The scene showed the Black Gauze Archipelago in a state of tranquility. At that moment, high above the clouds, a figure had appeared, unbeknownst to anyone. The figure was hazy and indistinct, its specific shape and appearance unclear, merely gazing silently downward at the Black Gauze Archipelago. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the blurry figure above the clouds slowly extended its right hand. In an instant, the scene began to distort. Infinite fire system power continuously converged in the right hand of the blurry figure, forming a mini-sun composed of massive amounts of Taiyang true fire. The brilliance and heat of the mini-sun were nearly parallel to that of the great sun in the sky. The next scene chilled everyone's heart even more. The person above the clouds simply tossed the mini-sun in their hand towards the Black Gauze Archipelago. The scene ended. "What a terrifying fire system Dao technique," remarked an elder with golden, lion-maned curls, unable to contain his astonishment. Just within a moment's breathing time, To condense such huge Taiyang true fire not only points to the reason of strong cultivation realm but also indicates a terrifying control over the power of Taiyang. Since when did such a powerful being appear in the East Sea? Asked the Dowd Immortal Sect leader from the higher seat, furrowing his brows. Considering the power demonstrated by that blurry figure, it had already reached Mahayana perfection and was even beginning to infinitely approach the refining void ancient saint layer. Pay more attention to this person, said the Dowd Immortal Sect leader. Yes, the crowd below responded in unison. Xiaoyao Zhilan, you two should just stay inside the sect and not go out in the near future. Mulianer glanced at Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan and transmitted her voice. If you encounter this person, don't even think about resisting, just use your life-saving measures and run. After giving her instructions, Mu Lianer's gaze turned to Lin Yuan, who looked exceedingly well-behaved sitting nearby. You two, learn more from Wuji and don't always think about going out. How dangerous is it outside? Wuji is very good, spending all his days inside Cloud Mist Blessed Land, not going anywhere. Mu Liener looked at her youngest son with relief. Although Jun Wuji had no spirit root, he was much steadier, at least not causing her any worry. Half a day later, the Hollow Void Realm ceremony ended. Lin Yuan left accompanied by the farewells of Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan. He returned to Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Little brother, we are heading back first, said Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan, bidding him farewell before hastily departing. The appearance of a mysterious figure skilled in fire system Dao techniques in the East Sea had caught the attention of the Dowd Immortal Sect, and they needed to discuss how to deal with this powerful entity. The Dowd Immortal Sect, known for its dominating actions, absolutely didn't allow the emergence of a being beyond their control. A month later, news came from the East Sea. Bayou Island was about to appear. Bayou Island was an extraordinarily unique island. It was akin to a blessed paradise of the East Sea, teeming with thick spiritual energy, making it a sacred ground for cultivation. However, Bayou Island was not immobile. It would sink into the deep sea every 2,000 years. Deep sea bottoms, perilously dangerous, were home to ancient demonic beasts that have survived from tens of thousands of years ago. Thus, each time Bayou Island sank, cultivators on the island could only leave. Not even Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords dared to sink together with Bayou Island. The depths of the sea harbored terrifying sea pressures, and even the Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords' powers were hindered, let alone those unfathomable ancient beasts. Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords would find their scalps tingling with fear. It had been 2,000 years since the last time Bayou Island submerged. Calculating the time, the island was due to resurface soon. When the time arrived, Bayou Island, carrying 2,000 years' worth of accumulated thick spiritual energy, would return to the East Sea. Given that the East Sea was originally not rich in spiritual energy, only a few dozen suitable places for cultivation existed, most of which were occupied by hundreds of secondary doors and 3,000 left paths. Now, with the impending appearance of Bayou Island, countless East Sea cultivators were preparing eagerly, hoping to secure a cultivation cave dwelling on Bayou Island. Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Inside the cultivation chamber, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his inner chi undergoing gradual changes, seeming to be transforming bit by bit. Finally, as if reaching a certain limit, Lin Yuan's entire being surged in aura, which then quickly settled down. 6th rank. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, a smile appearing on his face. Chapter 246. To be or not to be. All my strength has been restored. Lin Yuan's smile faded, and his eyes became calm. 6th rank, equivalent to the ancient saint of refinement void in this realm. One could almost be considered the strongest in the current age, even facing the Taoist immortal sect master wielding the founding artifact of the sect. It would be very difficult to kill an ancient saint of refinement void completely, at most limit and suppress the latter. The methods of the ancient saints can indeed be considered inconceivable. From the 1st rank to the 6th rank, it's nothing for me, just retracing my steps. The path of cultivation beyond the 6th rank is what matters. Lin Yuan thought to himself. To carve out the 6th rank chapter of the martial arts evolution system, Even relying on against heaven's understanding, it's not an overnight feat. One needs to keep trying to open up and choose the most suitable path from many directions. This time through, Lin Yuan had two goals. The first was to carve out the 6th rank chapter of the martial arts evolution system as much as possible. At least to cultivate to the extreme level of the 6th rank. With a 500-year stay, Lin Yuan believed it was no big issue. The second was to spread the martial arts evolution system, to root his path as deeply as possible in this world, facilitating his future ultimate leap. The immortal cultivation system of this realm could be used as a reference. Lin Yuan contemplated within. The martial path evolutionary path he established was built on the flesh and blood of many other evolutionary paths. Now, taking the immortal cultivation system as a reference should come naturally. Of course, Lin Yuan was also clear about the importance of things. His referencing of the immortal path's evolutionary path was just that, referencing. No matter how many cultivation systems or evolutionary paths are borrowed, the martial Tao cultivation system still has its own core, with a clear distinction between primary and secondary. Otherwise, could the martial path evolutionary path still be called by that name in the future? The martial path evolutionary path was created by Lin Yuan after exhausting efforts, and it contains his strong personal life imprint. It's like a towering tree. You can prune its branches and leaves, but you cannot tamper with the main trunk and roots. Next, I can devote some energy to raising my body cultivation realm to the refined void level. Lin Yuan decided within his heart. The lineage of body cultivation is an extension of the immortal cultivation system, yet it fits quite well with the martial path evolutionary path. Both share something in common. That is the exploration of the physical body. Of course, in the tens of thousands of years in Central Divine Continent, there has never been a body cultivator who reached the refining void level. But Lin Yuan was different. What countless favored sons of the past in this world couldn't do, Lin Yuan believed he could. And now that he had regained 6th rank martial Tao strength, with his formidable and incomparable body, cultivating the body cultivation technique would surely make rapid progress. Along with the guidance of against heaven's understanding to chart the course ahead, becoming an unprecedented refining void body cultivator was likely just a matter of time. The reason for devoting energy to body cultivation was that Lin Yuan deduced that a body cultivator at the refining void level would almost inevitably develop physical body divine abilities. Such means greatly enhance one's abilities in certain aspects, and Lin Yuan was quite curious about them. Moreover, sharpening the axe won't delay the work of cutting wood. Understanding the lineage of body cultivation techniques would also help Lin Yuan's martial path evolutionary path significantly. While Lin Yuan was retreating to Cloud Mist Blessed Land to cultivate and seek enlightenment, the Eastern Sea Islands were continually stirring major upheavals. There were mainly two things. The first, Bayou Island's emergence, was imminent. After 2,000 years of nurturing in the depths of the sea, Bayou Island's emergence was bringing not only a cultivation holy land comparable to the blessed lands of Central Divine Continent. The spiritual medicines and immortal roots that grew on the island had also fully matured. As Bayou Island's 2,000-year cycle of sinking and floating had become regular, many cultivators planted spiritual medicines and immortal roots on the island prior to its submersion 2,000 years ago. Hence, after 2,000 years of growth, most have matured, and at the bottom of the deep sea, undisturbed, their growth is exceptionally fine. Therefore, for the cultivators of the Eastern Sea, no matter if it's the 800 secondary schools, the 3,000 left paths, or other independent cultivators, Bayou Island is a great opportunity. No one is uninterested. Even the Blood Demon to the north and the Ghost Cultivator King to the south have set their sights on Bayou Island. Beyond Bayou Island's emergence, the other issue that stirred the passions of many cultivators in the Eastern Sea Islands had to do with the destruction of the Black Gauze Archipelago. This matter can be divided into two aspects. First is the mysterious powerhouse who, using the fire system Tao, in one fell swoop turned the Black Gauze Archipelago into nothingness. Outsiders almost believe that this mysterious powerhouse is only a line away from the ancient saint layer, or possibly already infinitely close to the ancient saint level. Otherwise, How could there be such a heaven-reaching method that left more than 10 heavenly monarchs and dozens of true monarchs of the Black Gauze archipelago unable to even resist, and they perished completely? The other aspect is that after the mysterious powerhouse obliterated the Black Gauze archipelago, the vast light from the founding artifact of the sect from the Dowd Immortal sect in Central Earth descended upon the Black Gauze archipelago. Since that mysterious powerhouse just wiped out the Black Gauze archipelago, and the vast light of the founding artifact arrived so quickly, it was hard not to link the two together. What is the background of that mysterious powerhouse? No matter where they are from, that mysterious powerhouse must have a troubled relationship with the Dowd Immortal sect. Indeed, otherwise the Dowd Immortal sect would not use their founding artifact. Even using it once would be a drain, even for an ancient saint of refinement void. Such a powerhouse nearly stepping into ancient saint level shouldn't just appear out of nowhere, right? Could it be a powerful figure nurtured by the Ghost Cultivator King to the south? Chapter 247. Ghost Cultivator King? The Ghost Cultivator King is indeed strong, an ancient sage-level expert, but for him to cultivate someone to the ultimate firmness and yang, wielding Taiyang true fire at the pinnacle of Mahayana perfection, that might be a challenge too great for even the mighty. Indeed, that mysterious powerhouse excels in Taiyang true fire, the nemesis of ghost cultivators and blood demons, definitely not from the south or the north. Could it be the work of the barbaric demon saint from the west? But that doesn't seem likely, and besides, the demon Tao from the west has Mount Morality Immortal standing between it and the East Sea, making it quite difficult to cross over, let alone have any intention in coming here. Many cultivators of the Eastern Sea Islands were discussing fervently. They continuously speculated about the origins of that mysterious powerhouse. After all, although the Eastern Sea Islands were a mix of dragons and snakes, a Mahayana heavenly monarch close to the refining void period was extremely rare. The addition of even one more could influence the current situation of the Eastern Sea Islands. Blood Demon Sea. The Vermilion Sea, red as blood, undulated. In the depths of the Blood Demon Sea on an islet, a man in a crimson robe was sitting cross-legged. In front of him floated illusory scenes of Lin Yuanyang's recent annihilation of the Black Gauze archipelago. Taiyang true fire? How long has it been since a heavenly monarch who mastered Taiyang true fire appeared? The corners of the crimson-robed man's mouth lifted, revealing a hint of a smile. Taiyang true fire, the world's utmost yang and toughest flame, said to burn everything to ashes. It seems he's not from the Dowd Immortal sect. The crimson-robed man fell into thought, then spoke. Come, master. The blood sea churned around him, and a figure emerged, bowing to the man in crimson. Go and find out more about this person. Do not offend him. The enemy of immortal sex is a friend of mine. Understand? The crimson-robed man spoke indifferently. Ghost Palace of Netherworld. Upon a somber and pitch-black throne sat a gaunt man. Such a level of Taiyang true fire. The gaunt man frowned slightly. As a ghost cultivator, even reaching the refined void realm, he instinctively detested the Taiyang true fire, this utmost yang flame. However, the gaunt man knew well that the mysterious powerhouse wielding Taiyang true fire must have a grudge with the Dowd Immortal sect. Therefore, no matter what power he wielded, he would be an ally of the Ghost Palace of Netherworld. Xiao Lu. The gaunt man spoke up. A weak and delicate-looking woman appeared. If one observed carefully, they would find that this delicate woman's figure was somewhat translucent. She was a ghost cultivator. Go to the East Sea. Try your best to gather information about this person. After speaking, the gaunt man added another instruction. Remember, he might be our ally, so we must avoid any reckless actions. Time passed by. 5 years flit by in the blink of an eye. Cloud mist blessed land. In the cultivation chamber, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged alone. The blood in his body flowed like a great river, and his hot blood qi made the temperature of the whole chamber soar, even distorting the air. Physical cultivation godhood peak. Just a little more, and I can attempt to break through to refine void. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, settling his blood chi. I can vaguely feel that deep within my bloodline, some power is awakening. Could that be the physical body divine ability? Anticipation appeared on Lin Yuan's face. Physical body divine ability is unique to each individual, stemming from the latent power deep within one's bloodline. Before the complete awakening of the physical body divine ability, no one knows what their power might be. Of course, no matter what kind of physical body divine ability one has, it's greatly beneficial to a cultivator, an independent force outside the immortal cultivation system. Take it slow. I'm not in a hurry. Lin Yuan stopped cultivating. In the past 5 years, aside from advancing his physical cultivation from the initial stage of divinity transformation to the peak, Lin Yuan also progressed in the martial Tao cultivation system from the first segment of the 6th rank to the 3rd segment. If measured by the realm standards of the local immortal cultivation system, Lin Yuan would now be considered at the entrang void realm at the very peak. It's time to calculate. Bayou Island should be emerging. Lin Yuan's mind shifted slightly as he looked in the direction of the East Sea. About 5 or 6 years ago, there had been rumors that Bayou Island was about to emerge. But in reality, the process from the near emergence of Bayou Island to its complete surfacing requires a considerable amount of time. After all, rising from the depths of the deep sea to the surface cannot be accomplished overnight. But even if it's slow, by now it should be close to surfacing. It's just the right timing. If I want to spread martial Tao and establish a power base, I must have a territory. Dowd Immortal Sect has Mount Morality Immortal, the Blood Demon Lord occupies the north, the Ghost Cultivator King claims the south, the Barbaric Demon Saint claims the west. Then I, in martial Tao, shall start with Bayou Island. Lin Yuan thought to himself. First secure Bayou Island, then recruit disciples and cultivate martial Tao. According to Lin Yuan's plan, within no more than 200 years he will sweep across the Eastern Sea Islands, and in 300 years martial Tao would stand alongside Demon Tao, Ghost Path and Demonic Tao on par with the Dowd Immortal Sect. As for how far martial Tao can go, that will depend on the realm Lin Yuan is able to cultivate to. Eastern Sea Islands. Lin Yuanyang stood mighty amidst the clouds. Bayou Island. Lin Yuan gazed into the distance. There, spiritual energy burst forth like the origin of the East Sea's spiritual energy, spewing vast amounts of it in all directions. This was the sign that Bayou Island was about to fully emerge. Let's go. Lin Yuan's figure vanished. In the depths of the East Sea, spiritual energy surged mightily, overwhelming the surroundings. A massive island slowly floated up from beneath the sea surface. To call it an island might be an understatement. Its area was several times larger than Kanglan Star, but compared to the vast sea and the central divine continent, it was indeed just an island. Bayou Island has emerged. Chapter 248. Hurry up if you're late. All the opportunities will be taken. Yes, we need to move fast. Tens of thousands of Eastern Sea cultivators had already been waiting for a long time. The moment Bayou Island appeared, they were ready to swarm towards it. However, just then, a mighty heavenly might enveloped everything. Dozens of Mahayana phase heaven lords, standing proudly under the heavens. It's the heaven lords. Damn it, the heaven lords from the 800 sects and 3,000 left paths have joined forces. They aim to monopolize Bayou Island. How infuriating! Why don't we have a heaven lord as our support? Countless Eastern Sea rogue cultivators felt both angry and helpless. In the Eastern Sea Islands, the strong are revered. Such is the rule, the iron law. Fellow Taoists, we will not let everyone return without gain. The outer regions of Bayou Island will soon be open to all. Under the heavens, a female heaven lord spoke, her voice echoing in the ears of every cultivator. The outer region? It's acceptable, though the spiritual energy is far less than inside Bayou Island. It's still better than the outside. Who called us weak? Upon hearing this, many Eastern Sea rogue cultivators breathed a slight sigh of relief. At least they hadn't come here in vain this time. Above Bayou Island, under the heavens, the dozens of Mahayana phase heaven lords confronted each other. This time, As Bayou Island emerges, Whitebone sect intends to occupy 50% of the core region, said a Heaven Lord, his figure skeletal, slowly. This Heaven Lord was known as Bayou Heaven Lord, the master of Whitebone sect among the 800 sects. Whitebone sect, in the context of the 800 sects, was an extremely powerful force, ranking within the top 5. 50% of the core region of Bayou Island. Bayou Heaven Lord? Have you lost your mind? Another Heaven Lord, emanating a gloomy aura, furrowed his brows. He was known as Een Mountain Heaven Lord, master of the Een Mountain sect. Though Een Mountain Heaven Lord was not as strong as Bayou Heaven Lord, there were dozens of Heaven Lords present. No matter how strong Bayou Heaven Lord was, could he really oppose everyone? Indeed. Bayou, you are too greedy. At most, we'll give you 10% of the core region. The female Heaven Lord who spoke first opened her mouth again. She was the leader of the Divine Divination sect and also known as Divine Divination Celestial Lord. Ha 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 ha. I have reached Mahayana perfection, just half a step away from advancing to the ancient saint of refinement void realm. Not to mention 50% of the core region, even if it were 100%, what could you possibly do to me? Bayou Heaven Lord sneered coldly, his aura, almost at the pinnacle of a Mahayana heavenly monarch, began to permeate the area. Among the dozens of Heaven Lords present, their hearts suddenly tightened. Though they were all Mahayana phase Heaven Lords, most were just at the early phase, a few at the middle phase, and very few at the late phase. As for someone like Bayou Heaven Lord at near Mahayana perfection, there was none other. In the Eastern Sea Islands, the strong are revered. Since I am the strongest, it is only natural that I enjoy the best resources. Any objections? Bayou Heaven Lord's tone was extremely domineering as he glanced at the other Heaven Lords. The strongest? Bayou Heaven Lord, you are not the strongest in the Eastern Sea. Have you forgotten about the mysterious mighty one who burned down the burnt Black Gauze archipelago a few years ago? One Heaven Lord retorted, unconvinced. That one. Bayou Heaven Lord remained proud. With my strength, even if that mysterious mighty one appeared, what could they possibly do? Bayou Heaven Lord had the confidence to back it up. Based on the lingering aura from the burnt Black Gauze archipelago, the outside world's consensus on that mysterious powerhouse was that he was at the Mahayana perfection level. He absolutely had not touched the realm of the ancient saint of refinement void. Given this, the Bayou Heaven Lord was fearless. You are at Mahayana perfection. So am I. Who's afraid of whom? Even if I can't beat you, you won't be able to defeat me either. Enough. Does anyone else have any objections? The Bayou Heaven Lord didn't want to waste words. He was ready to descend swiftly and enjoy the dense spiritual energy of White Jade Island. The surrounding Mahayana heavenly monarchs looked at each other, and in the end, none had the courage to oppose the Bayou Heaven Lord. After all, this was a Mahayana perfection powerhouse. Humph! The Bayou Heaven Lord glanced at the crowd, snorted coldly, and was about to enter White Jade Island. Just then, from below on White Jade Island, a figure leisurely flew out. Someone entered White Jade Island before us? The celestial lords present were somewhat stunned. They had been guarding outside White Jade Island. How could someone enter under their watch? The Een Mountain sect lord sensed the aura of the newcomer and his expression instantly changed. It's that mysterious powerhouse. Yes. The aura is unmistakable. The numerous celestial lords prepared for battle. The figure that emerged from White Jade Island had the power of Taiyang flowing around him. Watching this figure was like looking directly at the sun overhead. The mysterious powerhouse? The Bayou Heaven Lord's expression was solemn. Although he had thought that someday he might confront this mystery powerhouse, also at Mahayana perfection, he had not anticipated it would be so soon. Under the watchful eyes of dozens of Mahayana heavenly monarchs, Lin Yuan ascended to the skies, reaching a height parallel to the celestial lords. The Bayou Heaven Lord's expression changed, but he restrained himself from acting impulsively. Without understanding the mysterious powerhouse's intentions, it was better to opt for peace. Seeing the Bayou Heaven Lord hold back, The other celestial lords naturally dared not make a move either. Lin Yuan looked over the many divinity transformation stage celestial lords, his demeanor calm. 800 secondary paths, 3,000 left paths. I am the White Jade Island Lord. Lin Yuan's lips curved into a smile as he softly said, "Is it or isn't it?" His voice was soft, yet it reached every celestial lord's ears, and even the many Eastern Sea freelancers below could hear these two sentences. The dozens of celestial lords looked at each other in silence, their gazes flicking back to the Baigu Heaven Lord. The Baigu Heaven Lord only wanted 5 parts in the core area of White Jade Island. This mysterious powerhouse, on the other hand, had plans to claim the entire White Jade Island. The Baigu Heaven Lord looked toward Lin Yuan, his face showing anger, his arrogance immense. Did he really think the Baigu Heaven Lord was like any other ordinary Mahayana heavenly monarch? Wanting to be the Lord of White Jade Island, had he asked the Baigu Heaven Lord's permission? Seeing no one respond, Lin Yuan's gaze swept over the celestial lords again, his expression growing colder. Be it or not. Boom! With that statement, it was as though a decree had been announced. The Baigu Heaven Lord's expression wildly changed, and the surrounding celestial lords also showed fear. We pay our respects to the White Jade Island Lord. The Baigu Heaven Lord immediately bowed deeply toward Lin Yuan. The other dozens of celestial lords did the same, all bowing in unison toward Lin Yuan. We pay our respects to the White Jade Island Lord. Chapter 249. Establishing the Tao Order and the Ultimate Physical Body. Above White Jade Island, Lin Yuan stood with his hands behind his back, his expression serene. Led by Baigu Heaven Lord, dozens of Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords all bowed deeply with utmost respect. Rise! Lin Yuan was in a good mood. He had just taken a stroll inside White Jade Island and found the environment quite pleasing, very suitable to be the starting point for spreading the martial Tao. Using White Jade Island as the origin of martial Tao was undoubtedly the best choice for the initial stage. Yes, the group of Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords, like Baigu Heaven Lord, simultaneously heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Compared to Lin Yuan's good spirits, the shock in the hearts of these Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords could only be described as earth-shattering. Especially for Baigu Heaven Lord at the forefront. His heart was churning with tempestuous waves. The moment Lin Yuan had uttered the 4 words, "Neither is also is," Baigu Heaven Lord was already prepared to take action. What a joke! White Jade Island was a grand opportunity that appeared only once in thousands of years in the East Sea. Why should he just give up such a precious island on Lin Yuan's mere claim to be the White Jade Island Lord? But before Baigu Heaven Lord could act, he felt an overwhelming pressure descend upon him, vast as the ocean. In that moment, Baigu Heaven Lord felt as if he had returned to his foundation establishment days, witnessing 2 nascent Soul Period true monarchs battle ferociously. That all-encompassing oppression made Baigu Heaven Lord's spirit tremble, and without any hesitation, he acknowledged Lin Yuan as the rightful lord of White Jade Island. Because Baigu Heaven Lord realized that if he didn't do so, his fate would be very, very grim. He might even end up dead, his cultivation path obliterated. Compared to his own life, what was White Jade Island? Baigu Heaven Lord glanced at the other Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords who were pale, knowing they must have had a similar experience. This mysterious powerhouse is not just at the peak of Mahayana, he must, at the very least, have touched the threshold of the refined void stage, possibly even a half-step refinement void ancient saint. Baigu Heaven Lord felt helpless inside. To progress from the Mahayana phase to the refining void period, one must overcome numerous major stages. Mahayana perfection just signifies reaching the peak, the ultimate limit of the Mahayana phase. But the distance to the void refinement realm was still unfathomably far. This was also why there were so few refinement void ancient saints in this world. Specifically, after reaching Mahayana perfection, there are still 3 or 4 stages to go through. They are touching the threshold of refined void, 1 foot entering refined void, both feet entering refined void, and more than half the body entering the refined void, and so on. In fact, in the main world, progressing from 5th rank to 6th rank is similarly complex. requiring a transformation and integration of the soul. For every additional % of transformation, one's strength increases by that much more. And when Lin Yuan's soul transformation reached 100%, his combat power had reached the threshold of 6th rank. Of course, this sort of explanation holds little meaning for the vast majority of cultivators. In the eyes of nascent soul period true monarchs, the difference between Mahayana perfection and almost fully entering refined void is negligible. But at this moment, Baigu Heaven Lord, who had deeply felt Lin Yuan's oppressive aura, believed that Lin Yuan possessed at least the strength of a half-step refinement void ancient saint. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to overwhelm him with just his presence, to give him this kind of irresistible feeling. You should go back to where you came from. Lin Yuan glanced at the dozens of Mahayana phase heaven lords who were trembling with trepidation, unsure whether to stay or leave, and spoke indifferently. Then White Jade Island Lord, we will take our leave first. The several dozen Mahayana phase heaven lords gratefully turned into beams of escape light, fleeing the area as if they had just been granted a pardon, like mice scurrying away from a cat. Lin Yuan watched as the numerous Mahayana phase heaven lords left. He did not make a move. With his power, he certainly could have detained all the Mahayana phase heaven lords. But that would accomplish little. The East Sea was vast, and though the cultivation environment wasn't nearly as good as that of the central divine continent, the area wasn't much smaller. If Lin Yuan were to kill all the Mahayana phase heaven lords, the whole Eastern Sea Islands would fall into even greater chaos. It would also draw the attention of the Dowd Immortal sect, and the Blood Demon Sea, Ghost Palace of Netherworld might take the opportunity to extend their reach into the East Sea. For Lin Yuan, the existence of these Mahayana phase heaven lords from the East Sea had no impact on him whether they were alive or dead, but their death would create greater chaos, which was why he had not acted with a killing intent. Above the sea's surface, countless cultivators of the East Sea watched incredulously as the several dozen heaven lords, previously as mighty as the heavens, discussed how to divide White Jade Island. Then, a figure emerged from within the island, and before saying much, claimed to be the Lord of White Jade Island. What was even more incredible was that Baigu Heaven Lord and the other Heaven Lords seemed to have no objections and promptly bowed down. It was like a fantastical tale. And now, the group of Mahayana phase cultivators led by Baigu Heaven Lord hastily departed from White Jade Island without any hesitation, as if White Jade Island suddenly wasn't a prize to vie for, but a place of nightmares. What on earth happened? Why did all the Heaven Lords leave? Who is the person who walked out of White Jade Island? Is he truly the White Jade Island Lord just because he says so? The numerous cultivators of the East Sea whispered among themselves. The scene was too inconceivable. The Heaven Lords who were like immovable celestial beings were now so benevolent? I remember now, this person must be the mysterious powerhouse who burnt the Black Gauze Archipelago years ago. I have been to the Black Gauze Archipelago before, and the Taiyang True Fire aura, so utterly yang, is unforgettable to this day. So it's that powerhouse. Doesn't make sense though, wasn't it said that he was only at Mahayana perfection? How could he make Baigu Heaven Lord and a host of other Heaven Lords retreat? Isn't that simple? In the Eastern Sea Islands, power is respected. While Baigu Heaven Lord, also at Mahayana perfection, only dared to ask for half of the core area of White Jade Island. But this powerhouse directly took the entire White Jade Island for himself. It can only mean his strength far exceeds Mahayana perfection. Chapter 250. Many scattered cultivators from the Eastern Sea Islands discussed in turn, ultimately speculating the majority of the situation. It wasn't difficult to figure out whether it was in the East Sea or the Central Divine Continent. Strength decided everything. That deities like Baigu Heaven Lord and others at the divinity transformation stage retreated was hard to imagine at first, but upon careful thought one could understand the reasoning behind it. Under the expanse of the sky, Lin Yuan's gaze fell upon the numerous scattered cultivators of the Eastern Sea Islands below. I am Yuan Yang, the master of Baiyu Island. Today, I established the White Jade Pavilion to broadly recruit disciples. Anyone who passes the test and joins the White Jade Pavilion will qualify to enter the core area of Baiyu Island for cultivation. As Lin Yuan spoke, His voice was gentle yet reverberated in the ears of every cultivator. Yuan Yang was the name Lin Yuan gave to this Yang spirit avatar, and the White Jade Pavilion was the force he planned to establish in order to spread the martial path evolutionary path. After Lin Yuan finished speaking, he vanished above Bayou Island. The numerous cultivators below exploded into discussion. Yuan Yang. So this mysterious powerhouse is called Yuan Yang? Did you all hear that? As long as you pass the test and join the White Jade Pavilion, you can enter the internal regions of Bayou Island for cultivation. I want to apply to join the White Jade Pavilion. It's good to enjoy the shade under a big tree. Since Master Yuan Yang overpowered several heaven lords, following him must be right. The multitude of scattered cultivators were quite tempted. Of course, everyone knew very well that since Yuan Yang mentioned passing the test, it meant that not everyone could join the White Jade Pavilion. But in any case, it was still worth a try with no loss involved. Lin Yuan's occupation of Bayou Island and the establishment of White Jade Pavilion to recruit a large number of disciples not only caused a stir among the Eastern Sea Islands. It also caught the attention of the Dowd Immortal sect, situated in the central divine continent. Mount Morality Immortal. At the highest summit within the Grand Hall, the high-level cultivators of the Immortal sect gathered together. Above the main seat at the high end of the hall, the Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu appeared. Sect Master. All present stood and bowed in greeting. Speak directly.
Sect Master Mu Qinglu commanded.
That mysterious powerhouse who took action against the Black Gauze Archipelago has appeared again. He calls himself Yuan Yang, claiming Bayou Island, establishing the force of White Jade Pavilion, and broadly recruiting disciples. Mu Mengting immediately reported. He had paid close attention to this matter over the years. After all, the Black Gauze Archipelago was his many years of effort, and its overnight fall was a considerable blow. Oh! Are the divinity transformation cultivators of the East Sea allowing him to do as he pleases?
Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu frowned.
That's not exactly the case. Mu Mengting hesitated before continuing. When Bayou Island emerged, the Heaven Lords of the 800 sects and 3,000 left paths in the East Sea also harbored designs on Bayou Island, but in the end, they all gave up voluntarily. Sect Master, that Yuan Yang's strength must not be as simple as just Mahayana perfection. It is estimated that he is at the half-step refined void level. The elder with golden, curly, lion-like hair stood and spoke. Half-step refinement void? Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu fell into contemplation. What are your thoughts? How should we deal with this Yuan Yang and the White Jade Pavilion? Mu Qinglu asked. Sect Master, such a powerhouse, unless an ancient saint of refinement void makes a move, it is very difficult to deal with him.
Yun Dongin stated.
A half-step refinement void ancient saint's power almost exceeds the divinity transformation stage. Without the ancient saints taking action, they stand unstoppable. Even using the sect's founding artifact, the Taihao Immortal Mirror, to project an avatar millions of miles away, they couldn't bother a half-step ancient saint. The power of an avatar of the mirror was far less than the true body, having at most a power that approached an ancient saint. But since Master Yuan Yang was a half-step ancient saint, only a true ancient saint could pose a threat to him. However, the Dowd Immortal sect had only one refinement void ancient saint, which was the sect master, and though they had many safeguarding foundations, they were all geared more towards defense and protection. Unless Master Yuan Yang personally set foot in the central divine continent, the Dowd Immortal sect was rather powerless, given his location in the vast East Sea. As for letting Sect Master Mu Qinglu take the founding artifact of the sect and head to the East Sea to suppress the enemy, the Dowd Immortal sect is not without enemies. North of the divine continent lies the Blood Demon Sea, south of it is the Ghost Palace of Netherworld, and west of it the barbaric demon Saint Nest. As long as Sect Master Mu Qinglu dares to leave the Immortal sect with the founding artifact, Mount Morality Immortal faces the risk of being attacked. To put one's own immortal mountain in jeopardy for a mere half-step refinement void ancient saint, regardless of how low the possibility, is simply not worth it. Let's just wait and see for now. The Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu spoke. In fact, with the foundation of the Taoist immortal sect, even if Mu Qinglu left with the founding artifact, the Ghost Palace of Netherworld, Blood Demon Sea, and Barbaric Demon Saint Nest could not breach Mount Morality Immortal in a short period. Yet there was no necessity to withstand the siege of 3 ancient saints of Refinement Void without having a saint of the same tier defending. The Taoist immortal sect would also have to pay a significant price. The Master Yuanyang was merely a half-step Refinement Void ancient saint, and not worth the Taoist immortal sect paying a price to deal with. For hundreds of thousands of years, Central Divine Continent had seen such figures come and go, not requiring the hand of the immortal sect for them to disappear from history. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 10 years went by. On Bayou Island in the East Sea, within the core cave dwelling, Lin Yuanyang sat cross-legged, his yang spirit. Upon reaching the 6th rank, Lin Yuan's yang god and yin god were almost solidified into substance. Unless he went all out, one would never be able to tell they were but avatars of the primordial spirit. After half a day, Lin Yuan finished his cultivation. Stepping out of the cave dwelling, he looked over the entire Bayou Island. In 10 years, the White Jade Pavilion had significantly expanded. With a powerful figure like Lin Yuan as its anchor, many scattered cultivators from the East Sea were extremely eager to join the White Jade Pavilion. Of course, the requirement to join the White Jade Pavilion was that regardless of what cultivation methods one practiced before joining, after joining one must abandon them and convert to martial Tao. This requirement deterred many scatter cultivators, but still, many were willing to willingly convert to martial Tao. As of today, the number of martial Tao cultivators in the White Jade capital has surpassed 100,000. Among them, 12 are at the 3rd rank of martial Tao, 5,730 at the 2nd layer, and over 90,000 at the 1st rank. The spiritual energy on Bayou Island is abundant, comparable to the blessed lands and caves of heaven in the Central Divine Continent. Although martial Tao does not depend on nature's spiritual energy, having it is better than not. Master! Just as Lin Yuan stepped out of the cave dwelling, a girl with delicate features approached and respectfully greeted him. This girl, named Li Qing, was a disciple taken by Lin. Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today.